Good morning. Hi,
Morning.
Adam.
Hey.
I'm so glad you're here.
Don't kill me.
That's okay. Just, drop what you have to. It's all right. If we have read back, then you can just follow along, okay?
Okay.
All right. I'm so glad you're here. Oh, Meg's here too. I can't see you, Meg, but I can see your name there. Hi, Meg.
Hi.
Aw. Is this the Megan that I think it is? The Megan that I had in theory?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep, you were my theory coach.
Yay! I'm so glad it's you.
Yeah, it's so good to see you.
That's awesome. It's good to see you. What speed are you in now?
210.
Awesome. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness.
Almost there.
That's great. I'm so excited for you.
Thank you.
Aw, that's awesome. Well, we'll get started. And just for anybody that happens to watch this for the first time or watch the recorded live class for the first time, I'll mute everybody, but then at the end of the class, I'll unmute everyone and answer any questions you may have. So if you've got a question about a brief or anything else, just let me know and we'll have discussion after class. If you have to leave early, that's okay. If you come in late, that's okay too. So there you are, Megan. Oh, Megan, your last name's Watt, right? Megan Watt? Yep. All right. I knew it was, but I just wanted to make sure. All right, so we'll get started. So typically the live class will start with drills, and then we'll do literary, jury charge, Q&A. I have some little bit of medical Q&A, and then we can do read back if you want, but if you want to just follow along, then I can read it back, and you can kind of follow along with your screen and see what you have if you don't feel like you're ready for read back. So we'll get started. So let me just, I'll mute everybody, and then we'll start. All right, here we go. Okay, so starting with drills. Here we go, ready? And these are going to just be words that start with P, W, or B, okay? Ready? Back, palm, war, pal, ball, wet, bald, pass, welt, part, bar, wart, one, par, bark, bat, peg, win, wad, belt, pet, war, pick, bet, wind, bid, pill, bike, pest, wild, bill, pot, weld, pup, bust, wove, bug, prod, wait, pack, bolt, wave, brag, pride, whale, break, pry, ring, bright, wedge, proof, wade, prude, brute, wash, black, play, watch, plight, bleak. All right, moving right into my next drill. These are words that end with SH and CH. So using your final RB and final FP. Here we go, ready? Mash, match, lash, latch, hash, hatch, bash, batch, wash, watch, cash, catch, dish, ditch, wish, witch, hush, hutch, rush, reach, posh, pitch, fish, fetch, leash, botch, sash, such, mush, notch, bash, beach, push, peach, gnash, touch, dash, bitch, flash, leech, blush, blotch, clash, clutch, crash, crutch, stash, stitch, trash, peach, slash, hitch, plash, splotch, stash, stitch, rash, rich. All right. Now this next drill focuses on she and they. I know that's a common error. This is one of my favorites. Here we go. Ready? Isn't she kind? They are very sweet. She ran too fast. She kept old coins. They left the city. She sent a letter. I know they told us. Where did she go? They formed a club. Is she in a mood? They were too hasty. She teased the dog. What did they win? She wanted coffee. They had questions. They open at 10. Why did she do it? They drove to town. They said she left. Are they ready yet? She isn't very happy. What did she write? She said they called. They are just visiting. Did she pay the bill? They made her angry. She went to a movie. She raced on Friday. They swam every day. She missed the plane. They went to the bar. She went on vacation. I know what they said. She bought a new car. I think they were late. When did she mail it? They wanted the book. She said they import it. They opened an office. What could they want? When was she present? They watched the races. I know she will succeed. They were to buy stock. She was there yesterday. All right. Working our way into a number drill. This is the solar system. Ready? Sun, 865,000 miles in diameter. Venus, 7,200 miles in diameter. Mercury, 3,100 miles in diameter. Earth, 7,918 miles in diameter. Jupiter, 88,700 miles in diameter. Uranus, 32,200 miles in diameter. Saturn, 71,600 miles in diameter. Neptune, 31,000 miles in diameter. Mars, 4,220 miles in diameter. Pluto, 8,000 miles in diameter. I almost said dollars there. All right, so I have some common phrases in sentences. So you're going to hear, for example, for instance, in addition, in accordance, that's NAX. We don't hear that one as often. In other words, and in order. Okay, so here are your sentences. For example, don't go into deep water. Give us an idea, for example, of the pain. For example, tell us what you did today. I want to see, for example, what was sent. For instance, do you want to read a book? What reason did he give, for instance? Do you like our newspaper, for instance? We know, for instance, that it was mailed. The markup was in addition to that price. I have 5 good people in addition to her. We went to a party in addition to the race. In addition, it was a very unusual event. Act in accordance with the rules. In accordance with the order, file it now. Send it in accordance with her wishes. Fill it out in accordance with the law. He was a drug dealer, in other words. She, in other words, broke the law. In other words, justice has been done. He was caught red-handed, in other words. We want to leave in order to be on time. Use an umbrella in order to stay dry. In order to play, you must be 18 or older. You must fill it out in order to enroll. All right. Moving right into squishing out the medial vowel. I'll give you the words and then the sentences. Here we go. Talkative, Amazon, circulate, saturate, pessimist, penetrate, thermostat, generate, calorie, attitude, populate, milligram. The witness was not very talkative. They took a trip down the Amazon. The advertising generated new business. Set the thermostat up a bit higher. That pie has far too many calories. I think the dosage is 2 milligrams. Bob felt the job was too frivolous. Who do you think is his benefactor? The ground is saturated from the rain. We need to circulate the information. Don't be such a pessimist all the time. I can't seem to penetrate his thick skull. The area is not very well populated yet. You really need to find a better attitude. Jill was reticent about her accomplishment. I hope that you can mollify your father. The doctor said it was a congenital defect. All right, and then our last drill. How are we doing on time? Oh, good, we're doing good. Actually, I've got 2 drills left. we had time. I wanted to try to squeeze it in. This is going to pair up and focus on phrases like when was, it was, they were, and so on. Okay, some of these sentences don't make a lot of sense, but it's a great practice drill. Here we go. Ready? He and we are as we were when she and they were as they were. To be as it was, it must be as it is. Do you know if she is at the place where it was done? It is never as it was, as he has said. Is he happy as he was when she was there? Be sure she is as she was when he was there. How is it that it is as it used to be? If it is as fine as it is now, it will be as it was. When was it as long ago as it was when it was long ago? They and he are as bad as we were when we were as young. As long as it is today, it is okay. It is as if it was as far as it is. He, they, she, and it were as one. Was she as she was when he was here? When is it as good as it was? Where was it at when he was there? We and they are as we were when it was so. She is not as I thought she was. They knew it was. Let me say that again. They knew it as it was and as it will be. As it is as it was. This and that is as it was when it was then. It was and will be as she has stated it to be. We don't know that it is as he and they say it is. That is and as they said it was. As if he was there when she was there. As it was, he was where she was at. It is as it was when I was there. This is as it was when he was here. When was it that she said it was? As it was then, it is now. I know that was probably challenging. Probably mostly not so much because of the phrasing, but because it doesn't make a lot of sense. All right. Our final drill here is going to focus on initial consonants TH. Ready? The game ended then and there. Students of theology go to school for years. Most of the questions were theoretical. According to that theory, we are wrong. A therapist gives the therapy. There are a lot of thick branches. In Alaska, you need thermal clothing. That thermometer must be wrong. It was a happy theme. You owe them your attention. Who discovered the theft? How do I love thee? Let me count the ways. The class is interested in theatrics. Live theater is interesting. They live in thatch huts. I wish the ice and snow would thaw. That is the way it goes with them. Thank you for your interest. All right. Moving right into literary and jury charge. I'm going to start off with a technical answer. I'm going to read this once at 180, then go read it again at 200 and again at 225. And this is about a paragraph long. Okay, here we go. Wind up my watch. All right, here we go. Then we were to install cleanouts at the ends of all drain pipes. Cleanouts also had to be installed at any points where the pipes made turns. Cleanouts are needed at the foot of each rise. When there is a horizontal run of 50 feet, then it is also necessary to install one. If the plug to a cleanout is going to be flush with the floor or other surface, the plugs must be countersunk. It is necessary to have the same type of cleanouts for any waste or soil pipes. The cleanout in question had been countersunk and was at the end of a 40-foot horizontal run. In fact, there was a proper drop in the 40-foot run. In my opinion, the cleanout had been installed properly. The drop should have been enough to take care of the drainage without any problem. All right, now we're going at 200. Ready? Then we were to install cleanouts at the ends of all drain pipes. Cleanouts also had to be installed at any points where the pipes made turns. Cleanouts are needed at the foot of each rise. When there is a horizontal run of 50 feet, then it is also necessary to install one. If the plug to a cleanout is going to be flush with the floor or other surface, the plugs must be countersunk. It is necessary to have the same type of cleanouts for any waste or soil pipes. The cleanout in question had been countersunk and was at the end of a 40-foot horizontal run. In fact, there was a proper drop in the 40-foot run. In my opinion, the cleanout had been installed properly. The drop should have been enough to take care of the drainage without any problem. All right, so the last time will be at 225. Here we go. Then we were to install cleanouts at the ends of all drain pipes. Cleanouts also had to be installed at any points where the pipes made turns. Cleanouts are needed at the foot of each rise. When there is a horizontal run of 50 feet, then it is also necessary to install one. If the plug to a cleanout is going to be flush with the floor or other surface, the plugs must be countersunk. It is necessary to have the same type of cleanouts for any waste or soil pipes. The cleanout in question had been countersunk and was at the end of a 40-foot horizontal run. In fact, there was a proper drop in the 40-foot run. In my opinion, the cleanout had been installed properly. The drop should have been enough to take care of the drainage without any problem. All right. Moving into something a little bit more difficult. I've got some congressional record here. I'm going to give you a word list, okay? So we've got latitude, Crenshaw, controller, nomination, consultant, General Motors, judicial, cabinet, prominent, constitutionally, regents, ambiguity, integrity, affirm, tenure, David Paul, Michigan, Federal Reserve, dedication, appropriations, and competence. All right, so I'm going to start at 180 and then work my way to 200 with this one because it's literary. All right, here we go. Mr. Speaker, new presidents are entitled to select their cabinet members, and they should be given a wide latitude in the choice of men and women to assist them. Unlike appointees to the judicial branch who enjoy a life tenure and are constitutionally independent from the executive branch, the cabinet members serve the president during his term of office. Cabinet members should have policies and goals that are similar to that of the president. I will vote to confirm the nomination of David Paul Crenshaw as Secretary of the Treasury. Mr. Crenshaw has been involved in finance in both public and private endeavors. He was a prominent figure in Michigan for many years, working as corporate controller for General Motors and most recently as director of finance for the state of Michigan. Mr. Crenshaw has served on the board of regents of the University of Michigan, and he also worked closely as a consultant for 10 years to the Committee on the New Project Appropriations for the state of Michigan. Mr. Crenshaw is a man of competence, integrity, and dedication. Mr. Crenshaw's record supports my opinion. In response to a number of questions which I and my colleagues put to Mr. Crenshaw at the hearing of his nomination, he did decline to give specific views on certain areas relative to the Federal Reserve and also to the questions regarding allocations of funds to special interest groups in the state of Michigan. Mr. Crenshaw declined to give details in these areas. The Committee of Cabinet Appointees was concerned about these questions and hopes Mr. Crenshaw will clear up these areas of ambiguity. Despite my reservation, I again affirm Mr. Crenshaw's nomination and look forward to working with him in the future. All right. Got some expert opinion. Let me give you a word list. We've got fiberglass, respiratory, dizzy, resinous, Ohio, Cleveland, nauseated, polyester, gel coat, bronchitis, cigarettes, plastics, abdomen, chloride, sutures, resin, epoxy resin, resinous, methylene, Thomas Crandall, Lane, Hillshire Brothers, and I think that's about it. All right, so I'm going to start at 180 and work my way to 200. Here we go. Your Honor, if I may, I would like to read into the record Dr. Lane's report. I examined Brian Crandall in my office on July 24, 2013. This patient is a 20-year-old pipe fitter who had worked at Hillshire Brothers, Inc. starting in May of 2013. His last day of work there was October 7, 2012, which was the date of his injury. In this man's work, he sets a power drill into a freestanding machine. He will then run fiberglass through a resin, the resin in the past being polyester, but being more recently epoxy resin. The resin has caused the patient problems. The epoxy gave him a good deal of nasal problems and some respiratory problems. The polyester made him dizzy and nauseated. As he was working on October 7, 2012, his right hand caught on the drill and was crushed. The patient was taken to the Cleveland Community Hospital, where he was kept for 11 days due to complications. He understands that he sustained several fractures above his wrist. A plate was put into his wrist, and the wrist is now very tender. He returned to Ohio General Hospital 2 weeks ago so that the plate could be removed. The sutures are still in place. While the patient worked, he frequently inhaled the dust of fiberglass. It bothered him a good deal, and the patient began coughing. His nose would often bleed, and he became short of breath with exercise. The patient recalled that of the chemicals he worked with, he can name 4: polyester in its resinous form, methylene, chloride, epoxy resin, and a material he calls a gel coat. The patient has smoked about a half a package of cigarettes a day for 3 years, leading up to 1.5 pack a day. The blood pressure is 110/80. The chest is negative. The right hand has limited mobility. The abdomen is negative. The chest is clear. The lateral view of the chest is within the normal limits. An anterior-posterior view of the chest shows some increase in markings, suggestive of a bronchitis, but no other abnormalities. The patient did not work at this job very long. The damage that has been caused suggests that the patient probably has not yet developed a working disability. However, in the future, he should no longer work with plastics. That is my medical opinion. All right. Moving right into jury charge, jury instructions. Here we go. Again, now I'm going to start at 180, then move right into 200 and then 225 since it's jury charge, okay? All right, here we go. I have read you portions of the instructions as they pertain to you. I would like to define attempt for you at this time because it is the same definition as the crime of extortion, only the attempt is different. An attempt to commit a crime consists of 2 elements, namely a specific intent to commit the crime with specific intent to commit extortion and a direct but ineffectual act done towards its commission. That's all you have to have. Now the instruction goes on, it is necessary to distinguish between mere preparation and the actual commencement of the doing of the crime indeed. Mere preparation, which may consist of planning the device or devising, obtaining or arranging the means for its commission. This is not sufficient to constitute an attempt. This would be like going and getting the weapons at Kirk Anton's house. The simple fact is getting those weapons. That is preparation and not attempting crime of extortion. But acts of a person who intends to commit a crime will constitute an attempt where they themselves clearly indicate ambiguous or unambiguous intent to commit that specific crime and in themselves are an immediate step in the present execution of the criminal design, the progress of which would complete unless interrupted by some circumstances not intended in the original design. Of course, what was not intended in this case would be resistance by Mr. Freeman and resistance by Officer McCall. If you believe that when they went across the park, they went over with the intention of committing an extortion, that the act of going across the park, the act of putting their weapons out before they arrived at the car, these would be acts in furtherance of the attempt. In these crimes, you again have to show the elements of extortion along with the elements of attempt. What was sought was $5,500, which was held by Officer McCall and Ray Freeman. So you do have something of value. That was the first element of extortion. The money was to be taken from their immediate person or immediate possession. Again, they intended to force them to hand the money over. So that element is satisfied. The taking was to be with the specific intent through intimidation or even violence to permanently deprive the owner of the money. All right. We're going to do one more. Selection of jury charge. Actually, this is a final argument. Okay, and then we're going to move into Q&A. All right, here we go. Ready? And I'm going to start at 200 and then just work my way into 225. Okay, here we go. Thank you, Your Honor. It seems like every time I get up to argue, the heat goes up in this room. It is a sign of something. What I would like to do today, considering the nature of the temperature in here, is begin with a defense which was mentioned to you, and that was the heat of passion. It seems appropriate to start with that. Hopefully it will cool down a little bit. The court is going to instruct you to reduce an intentional felonious homicide from the offense of murder to manslaughter upon the ground of sudden quarrel or heat of passion. The provocation must be of such character and degree as naturally would excite and arouse such passion. Therefore, it is clear they define the term heat of passion for you as follows: such passion as naturally would be aroused in the mind of an ordinarily reasonably person of average disposition in the same or similar circumstances as those in question, and such as would cause him to act rashly without reflection and deliberation and from passion rather than judgment. What that instruction means is that the defendant cannot set up his own standard, in this case, Ryan Burton's standard. If he is a quick-tempered person and there is some form of provocation that leads him to believe that self-defense is necessary, it is not his standard that we judge it by. We judge it by what an ordinarily reasonable person would do in the same situation. The court will tell you that if there was a provocation of such a nature not calculated to naturally arouse passion, if an unlawful killing of a human being allows such provocation and has all the elements of murder, then the mere fact or slight or remote provocation will not reduce the offense to manslaughter. What was argued to you was Ryan Burton seized the weapon and suddenly he feels threatened by it. And this is provocation on the part of Fred Adams. And because of Ryan Burton's reaction to this, there is a sudden quarrel. A heat of passion takes over. He can't premeditate and deliberate. He can't be guilty of murder. Therefore, Sean Zachary cannot be guilty of murder as an aider and abetter under those theories. It is our intention that obviously there was no heat of passion. There may have been an element of fear in the mind of Ryan Burton, but that is covered in the next instruction. All right, so that was started at 200, and then I went to 225 with that one. Okay, all right. We're going to start off with just some strict Q&A by the plaintiff attorney. Okay, it's not forward, it's just Q&A, and I'm going to read this at 180. Again at 200, and then again at 225. And this is about a page and a half long, so it's not too terribly long. Okay, that way you'll get a feel for each of the speeds. Okay, all right, plaintiff attorney, here we go. Ready? Hold on a second. Okay, my watch is acting funny. When you spoke with truck drivers, was this just a random sampling, or did you speak with any particular truck drivers whose names you recall? I did not write down any names. The people I talked to were the drivers of the larger van-type trucks. Those would be the 40 to 50-foot trailers. These are people who would have nighttime driving background. A utility trailer was involved in this accident. Do you understand that? Yes, sir, I do. Do you have any opinion about the cause of the accident, which is the subject of this action? Yes, sir. Could you tell us what your opinion is? The size of reflectors used on the utility trailer was insufficient, given the state of the weather that night. Do you have any other comments about the reflectors? It would have been better if the shape of the reflectors had been different. The shape did not help prevent the accident. Do you have any other criticisms of the utility trailer that was involved in this accident? No, sir. Where were those reflectors located on the trailer? The reflectors are located in the lower rear section. Sorry about that. Where were? All right, so we're going to do this again at 200. Okay, here we go. When you spoke with truck drivers, was this just a random sampling, or did you speak with any particular truck drivers whose names you recall? I did not write down any names. The people I talked to were the drivers of the larger van type trucks. Those would be the 40 to 45 foot trailers. These are people who would have nighttime driving background. A utility trailer was involved in this accident. Do you understand that? Yes, sir, I do. Do you have any opinion about the cause of the accident, which is the subject of this action? Yes, sir. Could you tell us what your opinion is? The size of reflectors used on the utility trailer was insufficient given the state of the weather that night. Do you have any other comments about the reflectors? It would have been better if the shape of the reflectors had been different. The shape did not help prevent the accident. Do you have any other criticisms of the utility trailer that was involved in this accident? No, sir. Where were those reflectors located on the trailer? The reflectors are located in the lower rear section. All right, so last time, we're going to do it at 225. Here we go. When you spoke with truck drivers, was this just a random sampling, or did you speak with any particular truck drivers whose names you recall? I did not write down any names. The people I talked to were the drivers of the larger van type trucks. Those would be the 40 to 45 foot trailers. These are people who would have nighttime driving background. A utility trailer was involved in this accident. Do you understand that? Yes, sir, I do. Do you have any opinion about the cause of the accident, which is the subject of this action? Yes, sir. Could you tell us what your opinion is? The size of reflectors used on the utility trailer was insufficient given the state of the weather that night. Do you have any other comments about the reflectors? It would have been better if the shape of the reflectors had been different. The shape did not help prevent the accident. Do you have any other criticisms of the utility trailer that was involved in this accident? No, sir. Where were those reflectors located on the trailer? The reflectors are located in the lower rear section. All right, so that was at 225. All right, moving right into our next set of Q&A. This is going to be defense. And it does have some little bit of colloquy in it, okay? All right, this time I'm going to start at 180, kind of work my way into 200. And then the next set of Q&A, we're gonna start at 200, work our way into 225. Okay, we're doing great on time, so that's good. Here we go. You have talked about people being in the street around the bank and north of the bank and around the bonfire. Were there any people wandering around south of the bank? As far as I know, there were just people walking around the bank all night long. You have testified that you didn't know any of the people who were throwing rocks. That's true. Aside from that, roughly how many people did you encounter that evening that you knew? Oh, approximately 15, I think. I am not sure. And you talked to them? Yes, I did. And they were sort of wandering around as you were? Yes, they were. Among the 15 or so that you say you knew, did any of them throw any rocks? I didn't see them throwing any rocks. Was there much foot traffic to the south of the bank? Were there people milling around on the street? At various periods, yes. Sometimes the street was clear, would you say? Sometimes, yes. You were standing across from the bank, is that correct? That's correct. At one time, there was a considerable group of people between you and the bank? Yes. At that time, did you hear any breaking glass? I heard breaking glass for quite a long period of time. Was the crowd tightly packed or dispersed? At times it was tight and at times it was loose. Well, could you have seen through the crowd in order to see who was pitching the rocks at the time you heard glass breaking? If they were in the street, yes. If they had been not in the street but were on the curb, could you have seen them? I think so. I am tall. I can generally see over most people. Although you heard glass breaking, you didn't see anyone pitching a stone. I would see arms go up and rocks let loose. You would see that? Yes, I would. Were you able to see who these people were? I tried not to. Why not? That's a very hard question to answer. I didn't want to assist the police in putting anyone in jail. It's that simple. I have been in jail myself, and I just can't see it. I didn't want to be in charge of putting anyone in jail. You are saying that at a certain time you did hear glass breaking, and you say that you saw arms raised throwing stones at the glass, but you avoided seeing who was doing this. At times I did see the people who were throwing them, but I didn't know them. I had never seen them before. I just moved into this community. If it were someone you did know, could you have seen him at all times? If I had been keeping an eye on him, well, not if you had been keeping an eye on him, just simply in the course of standing there, would you have been able to identify everyone who threw an object at the time that the glass was breaking? Objection, compound. Sustained. Restate the question. Would you restate your question, please? Yes. Well, were there times when glass was being broken that you didn't see someone throwing an object? Yes, quite a few times. Quite a few times. I would hear the sound of glass breaking and I would turn around and there would be a broken window. Of course, I hadn't seen who had thrown the stone. You say you would have had no hesitancy about identifying David Albright in this proceeding because it is an informal proceeding. Is that correct? Yes. You know this proceeding could result in the termination of Dr. Albright? Yes, I know. Right. Moving right into our next Q&A. Now, this is going to have the plaintiff questioning, a little bit of colloquy, not a whole lot, and I'm going to start at 200 and work my way into 225. All right. Here we go. Did Miss Warner leave you while you were still at your car at the gas station? After I gave her my gun, I left her and went down to El Torito. You gave her this pistol that is marked Exhibit 14 right there. Is that correct? That's right. Exhibit number? It is 14. Thank you. Did she tell you what she was going to do with it? She told me that she knew how to make money. I gave her my gun. I told her that she had to give me $100 for using it and return it back to me by Tuesday. Did she say she would return it Tuesday, or did you say you wanted it by Tuesday? She said she would return it by Tuesday. Now, up until the time you gave this pistol to her, had you fired it? No, I had never fired it. Did you ever put bullets in it? Did I ever put bullets in it? Yes. Did you? The bullets that I put them in when I took it from Holden. You said that you took this gun out of a car. Is that correct? That's right. You took it some months before June 14. Is that right? That's right. When you took it out of the car, was it loaded? It had 2 bullets in it. You said it had 2 bullets in it? Yes. Did you know how to load the bullets into this gun? I knew how to operate it. All right. And did you put some more bullets in it? I put some more bullets in it, yes. When you gave this gun to Macy Warner, how many bullets were in it? There were as many bullets in it as the gun holds, probably 6. When you drove away from there, you did. Is that right? Objection, leading. Overruled. You may answer. I drove away and went to the El Torito. Yes. Okay. Did you go to El Torito or go to Mr. Holden's? I went to El Torito first. I stayed a few minutes talking to my friend, and then I stayed with him about 5 minutes. Then I drove over to Madison Street and took his car to him. Can you tell us what time it was when you drove to Madison Street to deliver the car? All I knew is what time it was when I left. What time was it when you left? Well, when the old man called me, he told me it was 6:30. I said I was supposed to have the car back at 5 o'clock, and I don't have the car back. Then you left at 6:30. Is that right? That's right. It was somewhere along in there. I don't know what time it was. All I know is that it was about that time. All right. When your car was parked at the gas station lot, you spoke to Steve Strong and to Macy Warner. Is that right? That's right. Can you tell us about how much time was used up while you spoke to Steve Strong and Macy Warner? Does he mean altogether? Yes. Well, I would say maybe about 10, 15 minutes. All right. I don't know for sure. Would it be fair to say that at about 6:45 you drove away from that gas station? Well, I don't know, maybe somewhere along there. All right, and you went straight to El Torito from that gas station, is that right? That's right. Did it take you more than 2 or 3 minutes to drive to El Torito? I don't think that it took me that long. It was just a couple of blocks down Wilmington, isn't it? About 4 or 5 blocks down there, yeah. And you only spent a couple of minutes in El Torito? I only spent about 5 minutes, like I said. All right. Moving right into some medical. This is going to be plaintiff. And I'll read this once at 180, then again at 200. Let me give you a short word list. It's not terribly dense. You're going to hear orthopedics, diplomate, American Board of Orthopedic Surgeons. Let's see. Oh, malleolus. Malleolus. That's like a bony, your bony protrusion on the sides of your ankle. Okay, malleolus. And let's see, oblique, fracture, transverse. Oh, x-ray. Okay, so it's not terribly dense. So I'll read this once at 180, then again at 200. Okay, all right. Here we go. Do you limit your practice to any specialty? I confine my practice to orthopedics, bone and joint surgery. Would you tell us what that means? This is the study of treatment of diseases and injuries involving the bones and joints and the muscles which move them in the body. Are you licensed, sir? I am. I am a diplomate of the American Board of Orthopedic Surgeons. Would you tell us what that is? The American Board of Orthopedic Surgeons is an organization of national scope that admits doctors in this field to the practice of this specialty. Have you had occasion to look over the plaintiff? Yes, I have. I found in his left ankle a fracture of the outer malleolus, which appeared healed, and of the inner malleolus, which had failed to achieve a union. Then did you obtain a history, sir? He told me that he had been hurt playing baseball. Did the fracture extend into the joint? It was primarily the oblique fracture, not straight across or transverse. Were there some x-rays of the fractured area? Yes, but I do not have those. All right, so we're going to do that again at 200. Do you limit your practice to any specialty? I confine my practice to orthopedics, bone and joint surgery. Would you tell us what that means? This is the study and treatment of diseases and injuries involving the bones and joints and the muscles which move them in the body. Are you licensed, sir? I am. I am a diplomate of the American Board of Orthopedic Surgeons. Would you tell us what that is? The American Board of Orthopedic Surgeons is an organization of national scope that admits doctors in this field to the practice of this specialty. Have you had occasion to look over the plaintiff? Yes, I have. I found in his left ankle a fracture of the outer malleolus, which appeared healed, and of the inner malleolus, which had failed to achieve a union. Then did you obtain a history, sir? He told me that he had been hurt playing baseball. Did the fracture extend into the joint? It was primarily one oblique fracture, not straight across or transverse. Were there some x-rays taken of the fractured area? Yes, but I do not have those. All right, last time at 225. Do you limit your practice to any specialty? I confine my practice to orthopedics, bone and joint surgery. Would you tell us what that means? This is the study and treatment of diseases and injuries involving the bones and joints and the muscles which move them in the body. Are you licensed, sir? I am. I am a diplomate of the American Board of Orthopedic Surgeons. Would you tell us what that is? The American Board of Orthopedic Surgeons is an organization of national scope that admits doctors in this field to the practice of this specialty. Had you had occasion to look over the plaintiff? Yes, I have. I found in his left ankle a fracture of the outer malleolus, which appeared healed, and of the inner malleolus, which had failed to achieve a union. Then did you obtain a history, sir? He told me that he had been hurt playing baseball. Did the fracture extend into the joint? It was primarily one oblique fracture, not straight across or transverse. Were there some x-rays of the fractured area? Yes, but I do not have those. right. All right, so we're going to do one more Q&A. This is a little bit longer, so I think I'm going to start at 180 and then just work my way to 200 with this one. So I'll give you like a word list, okay? So proper names, we've got Dr. Feldman, Greenville, New York General, State of New York, University of New York Medical School, Ms. Anna K. Donner. And then as far as vocabulary, we've got x-rays, ulna, tibia, surgeon, fibula, forearm, fracture, incomplete fracture, feeble, discolored, diagnoses, dentist, dental, Colles fracture. I've also heard of it as Colles. It kind of depends on, the person. I've heard it both ways. Anterior abdomen. I write that as ABD. Intravenous fluids, lacerated, lacerations, multiple, physician, prescription, radius, shock, semi-conscious, stabilized. This is going to be defense questioning. Okay, so this one I'm just going to start at 180 and work my way to 200. Okay. Oh, and I don't know if I gave you this one. I might have skipped over this one. Analgesics. Analgesics. It's like a painkiller to relieve pain. So that is in here a couple times. Analgesics. Okay, here we go. Ready? Dr. Feldman, are you a physician and surgeon licensed to practice medicine in the state of New York? I am since 1993. And from what medical institution are you a graduate? University of New York Medical School. And are you associated doctor with any hospitals? Yes, Greenville and New York General. And doctor, were you called in to render treatment to Ms. Anna K. Donner? Yes, on 9/29/07. And where did you see the patient? I first saw the patient in the emergency room at New York General. It was between 9 and 9:30 p.m. And will you describe the general condition of the patient, doctor? When I first saw the patient, her clothes were covered with sand and dirt. She was extremely pale, grayish pale rather, and her face was discolored, especially the right side, the entire right face from the eye down to the chin. Her lips were bleeding, both the upper and the lower. She could not give me a history of an accident, as she wasn't alert. She was in shock and she was semi-conscious, and her pulse was very feeble and slow. The first thing I advised was to get her to lie down because I realized she was in shock and I wanted to get her stabilized. We ran an IV, we covered her with blankets, and I administered some intravenous fluids. Any motion of her body was accompanied with moaning and pain. I further proceeded then to examine the patient. As I said, her face was discolored and swollen, especially the right side, and the lips were bleeding. She was missing some teeth, approximately 6 teeth in the lower jaw, and she was complaining of severe pain on the movement of her right hand. I knew at once it was a fracture because her right hand, was entirely motionless, and her legs, the anterior aspect of both legs, were lacerated, torn, and bleeding. We covered her up, and as I said, to keep her warm, and then I administered some intravenous fluids. Then I left after giving a prescription for some analgesics, and I asked the nurse to notify me a few hours later as to her condition. The nurse notified me in about 2 o'clock at night that she was moaning. That morning, the patient was complaining more at that time than before of pain in the jaw and the right arm and legs of the abdomen. I examined her again and gave her some analgesics for the pain. Then I left and I told them I would be back in the morning. The next morning, the patient appeared a little improved. X-rays had been taken of her head, face, and her right arm, and we found that there was a condition there calling for a cast, namely a fracture of the right forearm, a Colles fracture, a fracture of the radius and ulna. The radius is the bone that runs alongside the thumb, and the ulna is the bone that runs alongside the little finger. I went back immediately to Ms. Donner's room. I put a cast on the right arm and changed her dressings, which were multiple. She did not need to have surgery. Her face, especially the lips, were very painful and lacerated. And from then on, I saw her twice a day, usually in the morning and in the afternoon. In the next days, the pain became more severe. She was restless. She had very much difficulty in taking any food in at all, even liquids, because of the lacerations of the lips. A surgeon had been called in that day. The x-rays were taken, and he took over the dental problem. Feeding was a problem because the patient could not move her lips and approximate the teeth. I continued changing her dressings, giving analgesics and supported treatment until the 21st of October. At that time, she complained of more pain in the left leg. I had that x-rayed again and found an incomplete fracture of the fibula. You see, there are two bones in the lower leg. The bigger one is called the tibia, and the smaller one is the fibula. Just a minute, doctor. I show you looked at these x-rays 5 times. And now I ask you to look at them again. Are these the x-rays that were taken of Anna Donner? Yes, sir, they are. And are these the x-rays that you used when you made the various diagnoses in connection with putting the cast on the right arm and determining the incomplete fracture of the fibula and so on? Yes, sir. And were you present when they were taken, and were they taken under your supervision and under your discretion? Well, you were in her room every minute that they were being taken. Until the man left, he never left my sight. All right. Let's see, how are we doing on time? 9:51. All right. I think what I'm going to do, I had some colloquy that was in a Q&A format, but I don't know if we're going to have time for that. So, yeah, why don't we go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and read this Q&A, and I will read this at 180, and we'll do some read back. If you don't want to read back, you don't have to, and I can read it back and you can compare your notes. Okay, this is going to be defense. Okay. All right, let me give you a small word list. You're going to hear borings, adjacent, subsequent, I write that as S-W-E-N-T, swent, determining, visual, inspection, and a half. You can write that N-A-F, difficulties. Okay, here we go, ready? 180. Now, at some point along the line, was there a soil test made? Yes, borings were made. Did you make an inspection of this property when you first went there? Yes. And would you describe for the court the nature of the inspection that you made on this first occasion? The inspection was a visual inspection in which I noted the cracks and the movements relative to the foundations of the building and the difficulties that were developing with respect to the patio slab. Prior to this date, had you ever inspected other homes for the purpose of determining whether there was any soil movement affecting the home and the foundation upon which it rested? Yes. Approximately how long did you spend there on this first occasion? I presume it was an hour or an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. Did you take any measurements on that occasion? Only to note widths of cracks in general and the location. Did you look at the adjacent property and the properties below it and above it and so forth? Yes. Did you make any subsequent inspections of that home after this first occasion? Yes. Do you have an opinion based on your inspection? Yes. Did you examine the foundation plans for this home at any time before you first inspected the house? Yes. Okay, now would you guys like me to read that one more time at 200 and then read it back, and you can read either the, the 180 or the 200, like have it be your call? Let's see here, unmute all. Hi, Donna.
Hi.
Hi, so would you guys like me to read one more time at 200? And
Either
then,
way.
Sure.
Okay.
Go for it.
Okay, so I'll read it at 200 and then I'll read it back and you guys can choose whatever one you want. Okay, here we go. Ready? Now, at some point along the line, was there a soil test made? Yes, borings were made. Did you make an inspection of this property when you first went there? Yes. And would you describe for the court the nature of the inspection that you made on this first occasion? The inspection was a visual inspection in which I noted the cracks and the movements relative to the foundations of the building and the difficulties that were developing with respect to the patio slab. Prior to this date, had you ever inspected other homes for the purpose of determining whether there was any soil movement affecting the home and the foundation upon which it rested? Yes. Approximately how long did you spend there on this first occasion? I presume it was an hour or an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. Did you make or take any measurements on that occasion? Only to note widths of cracks in general and the location. Did you look at the adjacent property and the properties below it and above it and so forth? Yes. Did you make any subsequent inspections of that home after this first occasion? Yes. Do you have an opinion based on your inspection? Yes. Did you examine the foundation plans for this home at any time before you first inspected the house? Yes. Okay, so I'm going to quickly write down my little mistake that I made so I can read it in the record and you guys don't think it's your mistake. Did you make or take? Okay. All right. Now I'm going to read this back, and does anyone want to read with me, like take a question and an answer, or do you guys prefer that I read it and you follow along?
Read.
You want to read? Okay. Sure.
Let me get there.
All right. And yeah, you guys find your spot. Let me know when you're ready.
Can I have the first one? Because I think that's the only one.
Yes. Yes, Adam. Absolutely.
Okay. Now at some point along the line, or question, defense question. Now at some point along the line, was there a soil test made? Answer, yes, borings were made.
Great job. Great job. Awesome. Does someone want to take the second question?
I can.
Okay, go ahead, Donna.
Second question, right?
Yes.
Okay. Did you make an inspection of this property when you first went there? Answer yes.
Awesome job. Megan, you want to try the next one?
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Question, and would you describe for the court the nature of the inspection that you made on this first occasion? Answer. The inspection was a visual inspection in which I noted the cracks and the movements relative to the foundations of the building and the difficulties that were developing with respect to the patio slab.
Awesome job. I'll take the next one for you guys. A question. Prior to this date, had you ever inspected other homes for the purpose of determining whether there was any soil movement affecting the home and the foundation upon which it rested? Answer, yes. Now the next question is pretty short. Does somebody want to take that one?
I got it.
Okay.
Approximately how long did you spend there on this first occasion? Answer, I presume it was an hour or an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours.
Awesome job. Now I'll take the next one because this is where I screwed up. It's so depending on if you're reading the 180, it should say, did you take any measurements on that occasion? And if you're reading the 200, I said, did you make or take any measurements on that occasion? And then answer, only to note widths of cracks in general and the location. Okay, does somebody, Megan, you want to take the next question?
Sure. Did you look at the adjacent property and the properties?
That's okay. Do you have below it?
Below. Okay, I did a P instead of a B.
That's okay.
And the properties below it and above it and so forth. Answer, yes.
Awesome. Awesome job. Donna, you want to take the next one?
Sure. Question, did you make any subsequent inspections of that home after this first occasion? Answer, yes.
Awesome job. I'll take the next one. Do you have an opinion based on your inspection? Answer yes. And then just, Megan, you want to take the last one, or Adam, do you want to try the last one?
Oh, I thought that was the last one.
Yeah, just one more. That's okay, Adam. That's all right. I'm
Yeah.
so happy that you're pushing.
You want me to do it?
Sure. You want to do it?
Let's see, question. Did you examine the foundation plans for this home at any time before you first inspected the house? Answer yes.
Awesome. Awesome job. I'm so happy for you guys. Great read back. So Adam, this class is going to help your 160 seem slower. So, you just, get what you can and drop. It's better to focus on what you can and then drop instead of just trying to write something and write a bunch of slop, So I promise you're going to see a huge difference if you keep doing that. I'm a big avid pusher. I know I've said this before, but when I was in school, I didn't push until I got to about 120. And then all of a sudden I was moving through speeds quickly. And I know it was because I was pushing.
So Jill, I have a question for you then. So I've passed all the legs of the RPR except for my 225. I haven't attempted it yet. So where can I push? I mean, I'm writing at 225 a little messy. Should I still try to find higher speeds and push that, or just concentrate on 225?
Yes. Yeah, I think it would be, well, and it depends. Like if you feel like your 225 is still a little messy, I mean, obviously then it's still a challenge for you.
Yeah.
So is it kind of like hit and miss, or is it?
Well, no, I can usually read my mess, but
okay.
I'd like it to be cleaner.
You know what? Let me talk to Robert, because maybe we can, that's a good idea. That's a good question. Let me talk to Robert and see if maybe in the recordings of the 225, the RPR, maybe we can do some 240 so that you're getting a push for 225.
Yeah, just small sections to kind of push it.
Yep.
That'd be good.
Let me ask Robert.
I have to go. Sorry, guys.
Okay. That's okay, Dawn. I'll let you know, okay?
Okay, thanks.
Have a good day. So I'll talk to Robert about that and see if we can do that in the recorded RPR classes. Okay. All right. You guys, thank you for attending live. And Megan, you still have your cat?
Yep.
I know I have to shut my door. My cat would be in here too.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so funny you remember that.
I do. I remember your cat like jumping up during theory and.
Oh, that's too funny.
And Adam, you don't have a cat, do you?
2 cats.
2 cats. That's right. Okay. Well, for a second I'm like, I think he's a cat person, but I thought maybe not. So.
Stop and broke it.
Yep. So we're all. We're all cat people. Well, I'm kind of both, dog and cat, but.
Like clockwork, every time I'm in a live class, he comes over here, the litter box is right next to me, and he poops. Every time.
Yeah, leaves you a little present. Yeah.
Camera turned off, that was me going to get the air freshener.
Yeah, there you go. I know I always keep a can of Lysol too. It's like, I clean that every day. I can't handle it. Well, you guys have a great day. Thank you for watching live. Adam, I'm so happy that you're here. So you drop, don't get discouraged. I promise you'll see the results. And then, of course, you want to trail, but pushing, I think, is just as important. So, Megan, I'm happy to see you.
Yeah, it was good to see you too.
Yes. Okay, well, you guys have a great day, and then I'll see you soon.
All right.
Bye, guys. Bye.
Bye.